This podcast has mature language, not intended for underage viewers.
Street cred sports. Street cred sports. I'm crossing over. I'm Euro stepping.
Hello, people. How y'all doing? This is Keenan of Street Cred Sports Training, and welcome to another episode of Time to Ball. We are on episode 16. I know y'all feeling that theme music. I am too. I might try to just have that theme music playing in the background at some point. Just really low, but enough to where I could kind of bob my head and continue to talk, maybe do an instrumental version. But we'll see how it goes. Hey, at some point, I think I'm going to do a video podcast where y'all can see me, even though I feel like I got that face for radio. But I think it might be cool at some point just to do something a little different. So stay tuned for that. And I would like to probably try to do something where I can do a little bit more interaction with y'all. But we'll see. We'll see. Well, there's some things on my mind. There are a lot of things going on. Man, there are a lot of things going on. I got to start with the Kyrie Irving trade. Or as I like to call it, the Kyrie Irving craziness. Now, trade deadline is coming, so just a point of emphasis to everybody out there. If your favorite player has his minutes decreased or he's not playing as much, he probably about to be traded. That's usually what happens. I know. I look. It just popped in my head. There was a guy who he was getting ready to play. And then, management said, hey, you know what? You need to go ahead and just relax today. You're not, we're going to let some of the other guys play a little bit more. And he was like, huh? What? Okay. So then by halftime of the game, he found out he was traded. So he was like, oh, that's why they didn't want me to play. Because, if you get out there and you get hurt, then you can end up messing up the trade because you can't pass that physical that they're going to have you to take. So, yeah, it's been a long-standing thing, starting around the middle of the end of January, going up into that February trade deadline. Your minutes, you start to see your minutes decreasing. You start to be like, oh damn, they gonna trade me. They gonna trade me, which is messed up. I mean, it's sad because right around now, not every NBA player, because a lot are into their contracts and their cornerstones on the team. But there are a lot of really good players and some stars that once they start getting close to that trade deadline, man, they watching the ESPN or the NBA channel just like everybody else. They monitoring their Twitter because a lot of times that's how they find out is by Twitter. I know a lot of them be like, man, I found out just like y'all. Nobody even told me anything. Hell, one dude got traded. I think one dude got traded. He got traded to the team that he was going to be playing that night. so that's messed up. Like, you get traded to the team that you're about to play. So you gotta go switch jerseys and stuff, and they take your stuff and they put your stuff in a bag and they put the bag over on the visitors' locker room. You don't have no key access or anything. I don't know if that really happened. I think somebody did get traded to an actual team that they was playing. But nah, it's just funny to kind of see that happening. I mean, you feel bad because I know it's part of the business, but players, they have emotions and stuff. Obviously, we're human. We have emotions and, we get attached. So it's really hard sometimes to be sent because with anybody, it's kind of we don't want you. We don't like you. You're not good enough for us. Look, you can sugarcoat it, but that's really what it is. That's really what it is. So in any situation, that's kind of how, you take it. And that's what you do with it, is up to you. Now, back to the Kyrie craziness. As you know, this is what I do for a living. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert. I hate saying that I'm an expert or anything with that. that label gets put on me, and I appreciate it. But when I look at the lay of the land with the Mavericks, I got to ask, you think this is a good fit? My answer is no. Here's why I don't think it's a good fit. I don't think it's a good fit because Luka doesn't run a flowing offense to where, Luka's looking for the best available situation, be it pass or shot. Luka's looking to score. So a lot of times when Luka does make a pass, whether it's spectacular in people's eyes or not, a lot of times it's because he didn't have the ability to score. He was forced to pass. I haven't seen it. I've seen a lot of games. Look, I don't watch film on the Mavericks, every game. But I tell you what I've seen when I have seen them play, and I've seen a lot of Mavericks games. It's spread out. Luka's going to dribble a ball. He's going to, run pick and roll till he finds the matchup he wants. And then he's going to, score. He's going to score in a variety of ways. Tip for y'all defensively, if Luka's switching from right to left, more than likely he's going to hit you with that step back jump shot. Step back three, okay? It's almost, right now, it's in the scouting report, I'm sure, but nobody seems, not saying that you can stop it, but you could be a little bit more creative with timing his dribble when he's getting ready to offset how he's going to do it. But that's a film study type conversation. But he usually plays like that. So then you hear, well, it's just like it was with him, with Kyrie and LeBron. No, it's different. Now, LeBron would dribble the ball a lot, but LeBron would often pass earlier in the shot clock. He would run the play. He didn't always have to pass because he had to pass. He was a willing passer. Him and Kyrie complemented themselves because Kyrie, plays off the ball even though he's a point guard. Kyrie's a scorer. So when you hear like, it's just going to be like that, you have to look at the style might have been similar, but the player dictates a lot. Kyrie has to have the ball. Luka's going to have to give him the ball earlier. Now, where it's going to help them, I think, tremendously is when, Luka goes to the bench. He can get more rest because Kyrie is that dude. Kyrie's going to be able to put up lots of buckets. But it's the other stuff that you kind of have to worry about with Kyrie. And I'll be the first to admit, I'll admit that I allowed his decision on the vaccine to kind of, influence me a little bit more than what it should have. I kind of thought, the way he was saying certain things, and look, whether you're anti-vaxxer or whether you're with the vax and stuff, that's your personal decision, right? I just feel like if I'm for the vaccine, I'm not going to try to force a grown person to take the vaccine. If I'm not for the vaccine, I'm not going to try to force a grown person to not take it. And it was starting to come across a little like that with some of the things he was saying. But I got over it. I got past it. I was wrong with how I was viewing that at the outset. And then I realized, like, oh, you know what? If he doesn't want to do it, that's a decision he makes. Kudos to him for making that decision and stuff. Now, what I will tell you is I've never thought that, quote unquote, the vaccine was a cure, right? Some people are like, oh, well, you got the vaccine, but then you still got sick. So that means that the vaccine doesn't work. No, it's, understanding. I'm not a medical professional, but all the medical people I talk to, and it's just common knowledge, it's just supposed to lessen it, right? And side effects. Let me get off that because I don't want to, like, hey, man, he's over there talking about vax and anti-vax and flat earthers and stuff. Hey, that'll be a conversation because I got some stuff on the flat earthers, yo. I got some stuff on it. It's just a funny conversation, some things that I've seen. But in any case, that changed kind of public perception of Kyrie. Now, why do I call it the Kyrie Irving craziness? Well, history if somebody says, well, what kind of person is he? Is he, what is he about? And it's like, you look through a person's history. Not to say that he's a bad person, but when it comes to the teams, there were issues with him in Cleveland with LeBron. Granted, LeBron came in, he's bigger than, he has a big persona. So I get how that could be impressionable on a younger kid who's trying to find his way, right? They win a championship together. So Kyrie wants to, get out and show his worth, which is cool. I was all for that. So he goes to Boston. Boston doesn't work. There was some injuries and stuff. They never quite got a chance to see how good they could be with Gordon Hayward and all of that nucleus with Tatum and Brown and all of those younger guys, right? But then he said he was going to be there. Now, I'm not in his locker room. I'm not like with them. But there were quotes that he was like, he can't wait to be there. And then next thing it was, he wanted out. Okay, so that's first situation. I get it. Second situation, okay. So now he's at he's at Brooklyn. Now you got stuff going on at Brooklyn, right? Between him and Harden, with him, then it was the Vax, and then the January 6th thing where he was, he wanted to be off because it was a bad event. Yeah, it was. It was. I'm not making light of that event, but man, I still had to go to work the next day. As mad as and upset as I was about it, I had to get up and go to work. When 9/11 happened, I had to go to work that day. As upset as I was, I still had things that I had to do, right? But he decided to take off. Then it was the vax stuff, right? And then it was, the comments with the anti-Semitic comments that he made. And I don't blame him for that situation because I just think he wasn't crystal clear with, his stance. And if you're not crystal clear, there's going to be people that are going to say, oh, well, because he didn't speak out against that, then that means that he was for that, which is bunch of bull, But I would say, you have to be, especially in the public eye, you have to try to be as precise as possible when you're speaking on stuff, just to make it clear where you stand on something. So that one wasn't a big deal to me. The vaccine thing was at first, but then I got over it. And then I said, you know what? It's not my place. Because of the fact that he didn't take his money, he accepted his role, he took accountability. So, I was like, man, let's stand up with how you're doing it. I want to see him play. Right? That's why I was like, I want to see him play, but I get that. The whole George Floyd thing, man, yeah, another situation where, we were all just like, damn, for real, is this how it is? So everybody was feeling it. That worrisome stuff about being out, being black, driving and all of that stuff. So yeah, I felt that, I understood that. But you still got to go to work. Now you have this with the owner where there's a contract dispute, and he took a stance where like, y'all not gonna pay me what I'm worth, then trade me. Now, I would have actually chose to do it differently when I was reflecting on. I was like, if they wouldn't have said it, if they wouldn't have did, if we couldn't have came to terms, okay. In my head, I'm like, all right, forget y'all. That's what I'm saying to myself. I'm a ball out for the rest of this year. I'm going to kill. And then show you, obviously, my talent. But I'm just going to play, right? At the end of the year, now there are contract negotiations. I'm a free agent. Now they want to come back to me to the table and they want to give me what I want. I'm like, nah, man, I'm out. I'm not out. And the owner is on some different stuff. I get it. The owner's being petty. The owner has this different type of mindset. The whole list of things that you having him to do when it came to that anti-Semitic, man, that was a little excessive. That was borderline. It was borderline. And a lot of people know what I mean when I say it was borderline. So He's made his choice. I get it. You run a team, you're an owner or governor, as they say. You make decisions, right? That's cool. But now, Kyrie's made his decision. He's moved to the Mavericks. It's just all of this baggage, good and bad, that's followed him. It's going with him to Dallas. And the question is he going to be able to get out there? Is he going to be able to get his money once the season's over? Is Dallas going to pay him? Is he going to enter free agency and try to go somewhere else? So now it's almost one of those things where it's always going to be baggage in the cloud around him. So I support him. I love his game. We don't have to agree on everything because I'm sure there are things that I say and do people don't agree with, and that's fine. We don't have to all move at the same beat on everything, but respect each other and respect, ideas and stuff when it comes to most things. There's some things out there people be talking about like, oh, okay, all right, man, I don't know what the hell y'all on, but all right, whatever. you keep on with that, and let me get on away from you before somebody think that I'm thinking the same way you think. I'm not liking that comment. Don't tag me or anything. Leave me out of it. But it's gonna be interesting to see going forward. I don't think they're going to be contender. I think they're going to be deadly offensively, just like he was with Kevin Durant. But those two are a little bit more efficient. So it's going to be a situation where the biggest problem, I think, is how they coexist in certain instances when they're both on the court. But then defensively, they're both guys that teams target. And to me, I've always said you can't have two, I don't want to say defensive liabilities, but you can't have two guys on this floor at the same time where defenses are trying to hunt them because it really hurts your rotation when you're trying. It's too many holes to plug. So like when Jordan Poole and Steph Curry on the floor at the same time, it really hurts them defensively because if you have one of them on, you have four good strong defenders, you can help. But when it's three strong defenders, it's really hard to help. You're going to have gaps. People are going to get shots because you're going to overcompensate. But with everything, we're going to see. That's the beauty of it. I could be totally wrong. They could be seamless. They could do it another way. I want them to prove me wrong. I have no problem saying, yo, I was wrong on that. I'm just trying to figure out how it could be successful in the way everybody wants it to be. And I think it's going to be somewhat. But I don't think it's going to be like what it was with LeBron. And even with KD, they were successful. They just never had everything around them and healthy the way they needed to. But that's the Kyrie Irving craziness I'm talking about. I'm not saying Kyrie, I'm not saying you crazy, dog. I'm just saying the craziness that surrounds you, the baggage and stuff, all right? Make sure he gets that if y'all going to go tell that. That's a TAS line. Go tell that. Run tell that. All right, so next, I'm going to move on to my Super Bowl prediction. I'm going to go with the Eagles. Now, the reason I'm going to go with the Eagles is because of the fact that I think they're a little bit more complete with how they play, right? They're very physical. I'm not saying Kansas City's not physical. But this team is known to really want to be physical with you. I hope Patrick's knee sprain or ankle sprain, not knee sprain, ankle sprain is as close to 100% as possible. I just know historically high ankle sprains tend to take a little bit longer to, if it was a mild, then hopefully it was a mild, and it's gonna be good for a while. But as the game goes by, I can guarantee you they're gonna try to push him in ways that's gonna make him test that ankle. And when he has it tested, hopefully it stands up and he's able to perform. Because I want to see a good game where everybody's playing. I don't want to see injuries because somebody gets hurt early, that team loses. You gotta hear this person like the San Francisco Eagles game, Everybody feels like Philadelphia would have won that game anyway, but you never know because of the situation that San Francisco was in, which was very unfortunate. So I love Kansas City. I just think, and I'm, truth be told, I'm pulling for both teams. I don't have like a dog. I'm like, oh, I think this team. I'm pulling for both teams. But if you was to corner me, put something that I hate up to my face to make me eat it, and say if you don't tell us who you think gonna win, we're gonna force you to eat this. I would pick the Eagles. So that's gonna be my Super Bowl prediction. Last thing I wanted to touch on was mentioning that the level you have to play with day in and day out when you're an NBA player, it's unlike anything people have ever experienced. Now, the reason I say that, what am I getting to? I think Memphis is finding that out, that it's hard to be a team like Golden State Warriors. They make it look easy because they've been there so many times. And it's one thing when you are when you're the team that's hunting everybody and you're trying to ascend to the top of the throne, I'm not saying you fly under the radar, but you don't have teams that really take you as serious. When you win an NBA championship, every team, even the bad teams when they play you, that's their, measuring stick to how good they are. You're going to get everybody's best, right? When Golden State was on their first run, man, they were blowing the brakes off of people. People could not defend them. When they were having their 2 down years, man, people were taking joy in blowing them out and really giving it to them because of the fact that, they weren't at full strength and stuff like that. Fast forward to this past year, they get up, they get ready, and they win. And teams are going at them just like they're going at teams. So teams that win a lot, and have won championships, they're always going to get everybody's best. Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies made a statement a few months ago, or a month ago, I think it was a few months ago, when he asked about who they were worried about in the West. And he said he wasn't worried about anybody in the West. The only team he's worried about is the Boston Celtics, which really, insinuates that, hey, you know what, we're gonna get there and win, right? We're gonna get to the finals and we'll play Boston. That's who only team we're concerned about. Since that, I think they've lost 10 or 12. Not in a row. I think they lost 5 to 7 in a row. They've won a game here and there. But things have changed because teams are now treating them like, okay, you're a contender, right? All right, so we're going to give you our best. Those same teams that you look on the schedule and say, oh, this is a night off because we're playing them. Those teams are playing hard now against Memphis. And Memphis is not used to it because they're young, exuberant, and they haven't gotten to the mountaintop yet. So they're having a hard time trying to figure it out. They're still currently second in the West, but it's because everybody's beating up on each other. There are teams that are like 1 or 2 games behind them that in a week, Memphis could find themselves in the 6th or 7th seed, that fast. So they're going to have to really get back to just playing and not talking a lot because you hear the talk around the league is they talk too much. And when you see them play, they do. But they talk a little bit more when they're winning. When they're losing, they're not talking as much. And I don't mind you talking. If you're going to talk at the beginning of the game, and if you're going to talk if you're up, then you need to keep that same talk if you're down. Don't stand on it. Y'all busting our ass. But we still here. This is one game out of however many. And when you play a series, you got to beat them 4 times. Now, I think they're going to be there. They're a very talented team. I just think right now, they're finding out that sometimes it's just, man, just play the game, man. Just get out there and play. Talk while you're playing, but when you talk like this, they're probably going to get it through. For the rest of the year, it's going to probably feel like the playoffs for them because everybody's going to be going at them. Now, they get in the playoffs, they're already in playoff mode. So that's a good thing. But if they drop too many games, they could be looking at the play-in or missing the playoffs. I don't think that'll happen. I think they're too talented. But would it surprise me with the way everybody's gone at them? And when you look at their schedule after the playoffs, after the the All-Star, they got very tough stretches. I looked at one part, they got like a 6-game stretch where they're playing everybody that's, towards the top or right there in it, and now they got to play once the trade deadline goes. Some of these teams might be different. They might actually make a trade and move some pieces around that could hurt them. So this trade deadline, boy, you better get your popcorn ready. I keep my phone on, all my alerts are ready. Twitter, everything. I'm trying to get all the alerts. And when the trade deadline day comes, boy, I'm not going nowhere. Hey, you won the lottery. You got to go and stand in front with your check. Yeah, they can do that tomorrow. I still have won the lottery, but I'm not doing nothing during that trade deadline. But we'll see how it plays out. I would love to see what happens and how they respond. They haven't responded as strong as what you would think, but we'll see. Yo, I like to give a shout out to my sponsors, Next Style Designs. Next Style Designs makes quality shirts or custom apparel for all occasions. Next Style Designs. Mind Inc. Mind Inc. offers a wide array of digital media. Mind Inc. asks, are you using your mind? Southwest Basketball Showcase Recruiting Service. The link between your coach and your dreams. Maracay Zero Down Solar. Call Greg Suber for your solar needs. PCS Plus is the carpet service for all your cleaning needs. Okay, all right, so let's get to my basketball training ideology. I'm going to start with making a defender react to a proper move. Now, what does that mean? It's a proper move. Basically, what I'm saying is if you're going to do one or two moves in the triple threat position, you want to give that defender time to react to that move. So a lot of times I'll see kids, well, not just kids, I'll see people, well, mainly on the younger level, because once you get to college and above, late in high school, you really kind of start to perfect it and you understand the nuance and the pace. But a lot of times younger kids that are just starting out, that are starting to understand that they can use a pump fake or a jab, when they put them together and they're in a triple threat, let's say they pump fake and then they jab and then they attack, okay? A lot of kids will pump fake and jab, right? Without understanding that jab is not working because you did it so fast after the pump fake that by the time that defender is coming back in his or her stance from reacting to the jab, they missed from the pump, they missed the jab. Now they're there. So you have to have kind of a nuance with, if you're going to jab, right? Don't jab and pump fake. Jab, kind of get back in your stance, and then pump fake. So the jab is just kind of to see where they're at. The pump fake is the move that you really go into hard to get them off, either up in the air or to raise up to now you can go by them. But if you go jab, pump fake, or pump fake, jab, you're doing two moves. It almost feels like one. And you have to make sure that defender reacts to both. So same thing with dribbling. I remember one time I learned, I had ball up top. It was game point. So, I had the ball on the right. Everybody knows that I love the crossover to initiate sometimes. So I said to myself, I'm a double cross, right? I'd already said it before I was going to do it. So I, did a double cross, got to my spot and pulled up and hit the shot at the game, won the game, This was open gym. So I don't want you to make you think like what game was it? Was it the finals or not? It was open gym. We were balling hard, and the guy asked me, well, why did you come back? You had me with the first crossover. And as I, was shooting it, I was thinking like, why is he still here? And then as I replayed that move in my head, I realized, yeah, he was right. I should have just, stayed with that move. So you have to learn the nuances. And first you got to understand, if I get him with this first crossover, there's no reason to cross back. I just assumed he was expecting the crossover. So he was going to bite and he was going to stumble and I was going to, everybody was going to say, ooh, and I was going to hit the shot and be like, yeah, but I still knocked down the shot, but it didn't happen the way I wanted. So there are nuances when it comes to doing multiple moves. Some you can go really fast, like a between cross, if you're coming at a faster pace because of how it is. But normally you don't want to do the moves too quick because you want the defender to react to all of the moves properly. Okay, so I always remember that when you're practicing. I would even say if you're going to practice in the triple threat and you're going to go pump fake jab, you can go pump fake 1,000 and then jab. Okay, if you're going to go jab and pump fake, I would say jab 1,000, 1,000 and then pump fake, right? To give them some time to kind of react to both. You want them to react to everything you did, so you will allow yourself a very good opportunity to attack. Okay, so let me move on to this. My ideology today was going to be centered around travel basketball season. Now, the reason why I decided to bring it up now is because the high school season is starting to come to end. I think with the girls, the regular season comes to end. I think this week, and playoffs are starting, and then I think on the boys' side it's either next week or the week after. So kids are gonna get back into traveling and or playing or trying to choose a team. So I feel it's important because I'm asked this a lot, and I know I've mentioned it before, but I want to take the time and kind of elaborate on some stuff. What I'm talking about is basically I'm talking to parents and coaches of those travel teams. This will save you guys some headaches. But parents and kids, if you're looking for a travel team, you can save yourself a lot of headache if you do a little bit of homework on said teams that you're looking at joining. Okay, because if you decide, well, you know what? Before I go into that, there might be some people that don't know what I mean. So I'm going to break it down really quick. Okay, a city league team is a team that you just play on, that you play with, that plays locally. They might do an out-of-town tournament close, but they're just staying local. They're playing, they're wanting to get better and stuff like that. So you don't do any traveling. Then you have the travel teams. Those teams, they play, kind of local here and there just to get their chemistry. And then they play out. So when they play out, they go to a few more tournaments throughout the year. They like to test their competition, see, where they're at. These teams are usually, I don't know, 4th, 5th, 6th, some in the 8th, maybe into 9th or 10th. That's usually kind of what you have. And it's not to say that you can't have a junior or senior team, or a 17 under team that just goes travel. Those kids might not be interested in saying, hey, I want, to play college ball. I just want to be great, high school, or the best high school person that I can be, right? So those are travel teams. Then there's the exposure travel teams. Now, these travel teams are the teams that will, they might play locally, but they spend 90% of their time traveling and playing outside of the city. Well, Well, that sounds like the same as a travel team. Well, it's not. Because what exposure travel teams do is they play in events during the live period. And when they play in these events, they're usually playing in front of college scouts, college coaches, or scouting businesses or people who are scouting for talent for schools, trying to see who they see. Hey, you know what, this kid right here can play. They put it in a report. They tweet it out. Now a college coach will look into that kid because they're trying to see, if that kid, can fit what they're doing. Those are the difference. Now, okay, so why did I break that down? I broke it down simply because time and time again, every year, I get a number of parents that we train, that we just start with, some that are coming back, and some that just reach out to us because they know, that we know a lot of people. We have a lot of contacts. And the question is, hey, well, I played on this team and, they didn't do what they said they were going to do. Right. So then it's like, do you have a team? So then I'll try to get information, like asking them those questions. And that way I can better help them. But what I always tell them is, I need you to do your homework. If you go to a team, go to a practice. If you're trying to get an exposure travel team, find out where that team went last year and possibly the year before, because that gives you an insight of what type of places they go. Now, this might be a little bit too much to ask people like, well, damn, you trying to ask us, why don't we just hire a private detective? Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, but, it's not as hard. When you're a exposure travel team and you're only playing in said big events, that has to match. It's too much information out there. And everybody who typically knows that, now, not everybody, because there are a lot of people that don't know when the live periods are. Now, they usually shift. It used to be March and April. They've narrowed it down. It's a little bit more in April as well. I think it might be in March as well, but I know they changed it. So I want to say it's April. Last time I talked to somebody, I believe it was April in the month of July. So if somebody's telling you that they're going to a live event period tournament in May or June, you better look it up, because as far as I know, that's not a live period. Now, can that be an event where you have some eyes on you? Yeah. But truth is, college coaches can't be recruiting during those dead periods. That kind of stuff can get sanctioned, fined, scholarships taken away. They can get in a lot of trouble with that. So they try to stay away and stick to what they can. Now, will scouting services be at those events? Absolutely. Can that information be passed on to those college coaches? Absolutely. But you have to know that those people are going to be there throughout history. You got these tournaments that's been playing for years and years. That history is going to be there. But you have to make sure, and here is why I need everybody to really strongly understand why I'm saying this. You don't get these years back. These 4 years in high school fly by. So if you're a freshman, or no, if you're a sophomore or junior and you're like, now you want to try to do travel, you really have to be right the first time, because you're only going to get maybe a year or two in doing it. Yeah, of course you can do it your senior year, after you finish your senior year, but it's really hard. You really want to be trying to play in events where it's more senior laden, because you're playing with a team and you got a bunch of younger kids and you're trying to play in these big events. You might not get seen, because here's the reality of those events that you're going to. You can travel to them and you can say you were playing at the Gasso or the Bigfoot, some of these real prestigious tournaments, but they have different divisions. So if you're playing at this and you're excited because you're going there, and then you're in the college division, you figure, well, I'm a high school person trying to go to college, you're going to realize real quick that college division is a lower level division. Because there's an NBA, I think there's a G League, then an NBA. There's like 2 or 3 divisions that are over that. And those are usually the ones where all the college coaches show up. How do I know this? Because I get pictures and I get phone calls sometimes from people saying, hey, man, we see this is a kid here in El Paso that's at this tournament. He's playing. What can you tell me about him? Now, I usually have to tell them, I'll call you back because I'm training, right? But that's kind of how it goes. So my ear is in the streets, people. It's in the streets, even if I'm not in the streets all the time. I'm getting the information. I'm getting the phone calls from colleges. I'm getting the phone calls from scouts. I'm getting asked questions from high school coaches and travel coaches. So I'm in the know. So this information I'm telling you is, I'm not going to even say gold. This is platinum info I'm telling you. Trust me on this, okay? There'll be people that are playing these events and they won't get looks. And then they're not understanding, well, I was on the exposure team, travel team. Why is it my son or daughter didn't get looks? Because if you're going to certain events, you need to make sure that those events have the not the cachet, but you're playing in the division where somebody's going to be there to watch. If you're not in that division, you're not going to be seen. It's just like being in a regular travel team. Now, if you're a younger team, it's absolutely good to go there because it gives you a chance to see what competition is, right? That's the good part about it. But if you're older and you're trying to be established, you really need to look. Now, there are some excellent teams here locally in this city. Some are still learning, where to go and stuff like that, where to get to. Some contact me and ask me, hey, well, you think we should do this tournament? What's the difference? And I have to explain it to them. And it's because I want the best for them and for their kids. Because I feel bad when the parents come back and they say it was a total disaster. This team didn't know what they were doing. They didn't explain it to us. We were just paying money and we didn't get what we said. Now they're frustrated. So now they're leery of another team, right? Or getting on another team. So that stuff happens. And even if I'm not feeling a team, if I'm not feeling a team or an organization, it's not because I have some personal vendetta. It's always because I've sent kids or I know kids that have went to that organization, and then ultimately 3 or 4 of these people come back and they're in different times and they're telling me the bad experiences, and it's almost identical experiences they've had. So then I'm leery about sending people to those teams, or if I send them to those teams, I let them know, look, they probably do good, but these are the things that were told to me about that organization. So you might want to look into it a little bit more. But I send kids everywhere. People don't know. I send kids everywhere to all of these teams because I'm trying to help the kids as well as the teams get good products. Now, I won't send somebody who's a beginner to an exposure team. I have my little standards. I tell parents if their kids is on a high school team, they need to be the best player on the floor, top 3 to 5 player on the floor on both teams, from both teams at all times. They need to be averaging a certain amount of points. They need to be an aggressive player. Because when you go to these events, you're going to be playing against a lot of top players from wherever they are who are aggressive, athletic. So you can't be somebody that's just finding your way because you're going to spend a lot of time on the bench. And those travel teams, those exposure travel teams and regular travel teams, all of these teams, it's expensive. It takes money. It takes a lot of time. So you want to make sure that you're making the best decision. So for those of you, I really need you to understand, I have no ill will towards any organization out there in the city or across this country. Unless I start to hear on multiple occasions that, you were taking people's money and you weren't providing or saying what you weren't saying what you were supposed to, you weren't providing what you said. Right? If you say you're going to be providing this, and this, then those things need to happen because that's probably the reason why, we went there is because of those said things. All right. So you really have to be careful. You really have to be careful. Some teams, they don't do it as much as maybe they used to, but some teams, you get on these teams and then you go, they play out of town and then you drive up or something. They got a whole new team there, right? And then you're like, wait a minute, who is this? Oh, this from these people from such and such. And, parents didn't know. So parents have to ask those questions. Hey, if we traveling to Georgia to play, are you going to have some players from St. Louis or Dallas or New Orleans or something show up? Or is it going to be our team? And they have to they have to be honest. They're being competitive. Some of these teams are being competitive because they know if they continue to ascend, they're going to get the call from these tournament directors because they want them there. They know they have talent. It's a business. It really is a business. Now, if somebody was to come to me and say, well, what's your perfect scenario for an exposure travel team? Here's mine. I'd have maybe 8 to 10 kids that were the most talented. And I would take them everywhere, and they would just basically play. Of course, I'd have maybe, you try to have some structure with the sets. But everybody's playing because I'm there to expose them. So I'm not going to take kids on. I'm not going to have kids on that team that can't play. If I have 10 strong kids, any one of those 10 could be a starter. And I might start them differently. I'm trying not to be competitive because I'm there not for me, but I'm there for them. So what I'm trying to do is say, it's 40-minute games. Okay, 20-minute halves, we're going to sub maybe every 5 or 10 minutes. Unless they're foul situations. Once you're in, nobody's coming in for you until the 5-minute mark or 10-minute mark. So you play hard and you make all the mistakes you want, but this is your opportunity to shine. I'm not taking you off the hook by trying to sub people in every time you make a mistake. Because if there's a college that really wants to see how you deal with adversity, that will be the perfect time to see how you deal when you're dealing with somebody who can ball and defend and shoot and you're not playing your best. Now, what else can you do? You're going to get up there and play. That's kind of how I would do it, right? I wouldn't go in like, okay, well, I need to do this and, I'm trying to win. Yeah, of course I want to win, but it's not about me. That's just how I view it. Okay. A lot of teams, they view it differently, and that's fine because what works for some doesn't work for others. But here's what I would say. If my child is on the team and I'm paying, $1,200-$1,500, I'm not traveling to all over the country just to sit down and watch my child play a few minutes. And then be told, well, I'm trying to get some experience. Yeah, okay. Well, you need to refund me most of that money. Because that's not what you told me when you brought me in, right? So you have to be real specific and write down stuff to ask, because if you don't ask, you might not get the results you wanted. You might not get the results you wanted if you ask, but if you ask, then that doesn't happen. You can say, hey, this is what you told me. You're going back on it, and you could have an out or something. And kids are jumping from team to team these days. I call them nomads. They just, I thought some of these kids should have a jersey that have like 4 different teams on their jersey because they play with 4 different teams, like throughout the year or something like that. And it's because some teams don't always, it's not a fit, first of all. Sometimes it's not a fit. Other times it's just because it doesn't work the way you thought it was going to work. You're not given what you're told. So, I don't want to get too much into it. I'm sure I'll have a discussion. I'd like to have a roundtable discussion with some travel team coaches so you could hear from them what's going on and, and figure that out. But look, whatever you think, I will tell you, I'll be the first to tell you, I have nothing but respect for all of them. Even if some of y'all who hearing this podcast or know somebody that's like, man, he don't mess with us. Now, I might not per se hang out because I'm always busy, but I'm doing my best behind the scenes to help everybody. And I tell you, I appreciate what y'all are doing because as long as you're doing it right. I don't appreciate the ones they're taking the church's money, as they say. That's another TAS phrase. I don't appreciate the ones that are taking people's money, but I'm not going to talk bad about them. I'll just give people the information to find out. If that parent or, those people choose to go with that team, knowing the information, that's a choice they made. Okay. And I have to respect it because those teams are still having players. So they're doing something right. Right. They're doing something right. They're not 100% wrong. There are a couple that started that it just was bad from the beginning and it went bad. So that's my information, advice for travel ideology. Now, before I get out of here, let me mention what's going to be coming up on my Patreon version. I'm going to talk about agendas. Some people have agendas. I'm going to also talk about the difference between good defense and missed shots. I think it's a bad misconception. I'm going to talk about conversions from, point guard to shooting, point guard to a guard to post and vice versa. I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to talk about how to speed up your jump shot. Then I'm going to talk about a story since Valentine's Day is coming. My favorite basketball rom-com and why my wife always hates it. No, she doesn't hate it, but we always have a discussion about it, and I'll explain that in the Patreon version. So I appreciate y'all time. I hope everybody, continues to be good, helpful towards each other. And without saying much more, I'll end it how I always end. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I'm out.
Street cred sports, say it with your chest. Yeah. Go get it from the net. Street cred sports, okay, that's a bet.